the program critical timeline and program implementation. And I think this is going to be reasonably short. So to go back to what I just said in terms of SSEP operations, let me give you the top level milestones in terms of deadlines and timeline. The program started yesterday, and what that means is yesterday a 9-week clock started ticking. So over those 9 weeks, in the very beginning, you've got to come up to speed on the microgravity curriculum. Your teams are going to design your experiments, and you're going to write your formal proposals. Early in November, after 9 weeks, all of the proposals are going to go to your Step 1 review board of faculty members, and they will do their thing and select 3 finalists, send them to us. We then convene the Step 2 national review board, and we will select your flight experiment by December 19th, which means USF can put out a big press release just before the holidays. Your flight team then goes on to 2 months of optimization of the experiment, followed by 4 months of flight safety review at the Office of Toxicology, which means the earliest the experiment can launch is June 10th of 2026. But there may not be a vehicle available on that date. This is not an Amtrak schedule. It critically depends on the nature of the space program. I don't know if you remember this, but there were 2 astronauts that were up on station for many months beyond when they were supposed to be because the Boeing Dreamliner had critical point failures and it came back without them. That required additional crew supplies, food and supplies that needed to go up. In addition, there was a supply vehicle, Northrop Grumman 22, that was damaged on transport to Kennedy Space Center. So this has pushed the entire schedule of launches forward. And so we have Mission 19 and Mission 20 experiments launching in April of 2026. We are hoping that there will be a vehicle in middle of June in 2026 to service Mission 21. But the earliest it can launch is early June of 2026. So does everybody understand that timeline? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, with regard to implementation, the way that I believe USF is implementing this, and Dr. Johnson Austin can give me a thumbs up on this, or Dr. Thomas. I think that this was an outreach to campus, and you framed before today 11 teams that want to move forward with this, and every team already has a faculty advisor assigned. And so, as I said before, you're going to come up to speed on the microgravity curriculum, I think yourselves, with a little help from your faculty advisors who have expertise certainly in experiment design and proposal writing. Let me also say that, and so once you come up to speed, you're designing your experiments, you're writing your proposals. Good. Let me say something that's really important here. So the idea is that each team has 2 professional researchers for advice and counsel. We designate one the faculty advisor, and we designate the other as the researcher advisor. Let me explain the difference. So let's say you want to do some kind of cool experiment. You want to look at planaria worm regeneration in space. That's cool. Hey, how do planaria worms regenerate in space? Well, you need to have a planaria worm regeneration expert as a researcher advisor, because every team, when you dig into these experiments that you're coming up with, every one of the teams at USF is going to have really deep and powerful questions. And the only person that you can go to with those questions is an expert in that science discipline, the focus of your experiment. Now, here's the way many undergraduate institutions set this up. You have a faculty advisor, again, whose role it is to be an expert in research, general research questions, general experiment design questions, general proposal writing questions. And so you've got your faculty advisor, but your faculty advisor likely has a research expertise in a certain domain, right? A certain disciplinary domain. So your faculty advisor can give you general guardrails with regard to their area of expertise, not very focused and narrow guardrails, but general guardrails in their area of expertise. And so if you come up with an experiment in that landscape, your faculty advisor can also be your researcher advisor, because she or he is an expert in that area as well. Does everybody understand what I just said, or do you need a little more clarification? So everybody should understand the distinction between a faculty advisor to your team and a researcher advisor to your team. And by the way, the faculty advisor and the researcher advisor could be the same person if you're designing an experiment in the general area of expertise of your faculty advisor. Got it? Everybody got it? Now, if you don't have a faculty advisor who is an expert in your area of expertise, what you can do is, and this is on the website, you can use Google Scholars search to find a researcher advisor. And the way that that works, and there's a link to Google Scholar Search on the website, what you do is you'll put in keywords in the search field, planaria worm regeneration, if that's your experiment. And what will be returned are scholarly peer-reviewed papers that represent the state of the art human understanding in planaria worm regeneration. I'm not asking you to read the papers, but to go to the top of page 1 and see where the authors are listed with their host institutions. And if Dr. Jane Smith is a co-author on a planaria worm regeneration paper, she's an expert. And if you see that she's listed as a professor at Harvard, you go to the Harvard website, you go to the staff directory, you look up Dr. Jane Smith's email address, and you write a really nice email to Dr. Smith telling her what you want to do and asking her, can you be our researcher advisor? And if you have a template for an email and you send that out to 20 possible researcher advisors, all you need is one to say yes. So this is for those teams that may not have a faculty advisor who has an expertise in the area of your experiment. So does everybody understand what I just said there? Okay, we doing all right so far, so good? Okay, Jessica's smiling. That's good to see. All right. So I am now going to, before I move on, does anybody have any questions about the critical timeline or the program implementation? And I'm not looking at chat because I'm concentrating on you guys. So if you want to ask a question, you got to unmute and ask me. Everybody's good? All righty. I am going to pause the recording.